Hey, Beerfield Fantasy family. Happy week 3. We are here for some in and outs. I'm much more excited to talk about this than I was the news segment I posted about half an hour ago. Do check that out if you guys get the chance. You'll get to hear my thoughts on all the news of the day. I'm not very happy about it, but let's move on to something more exciting. Who's going to play and who's not going to play, both on the offensive and defensive side of the balls, so you guys can make the best decisions possible about your fantasy lineups going into week 3. Let's kick it off with some Rams news. After the Thursday night game, both Sammy Watkins and Devon Austin are in the concussion protocol. It's really bad news for Sammy just because he's got some injury history to him. I'm really hoping he can get healthy with the long 10-day rest there, and we can get him back for week 4 because he had a fantastic game putting up 106 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'd love to see him back in week 4. Devon Austin has kind of been marginalized. I'm sorry you got a concussion, but fantasy news, not very important. On to Giants-Eagles. The Giants, Janoris Jenkins is a game-time decision with an ankle injury. As of what I've read, he's more likely out than in. So this should be good news for Alshon Jeffrey. And game script, the only real big concern for him is game script. If the Eagles can manhandle the Giants' offense too much, this may get out of hand early. For the Eagles side of the ball, 2 safeties with injury concerns. Jalen Watkins is out with a hamstring, and safety Rodney McLeod is questionable. I think he is more likely to miss than not based on what I've read. So you are looking at a situation where if Eli Manning does get enough time to pass, he may have a chance to take some shots downfield with a weak secondary. That's the question, though, is if. This pass rush for the Eagles is very, very good. I'm still not projecting good things for Eli this week. I think he's probably going to get borderline killed. And on the offensive side of the ball, Torrey Smith is questionable with an illness, but it's currently projected that he will play as the wide receiver 3 in that offense, number 4 target overall. On to Jaguars over in England. For the Ravens, defensive tackle Brandon Williams is out with a foot injury. This really helps Leonard Fournette a lot. Brandon Williams is one of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in the game. I apologize for that. So Fournette gets a boost from that. Terrence West is questionable with a calf injury. You don't want to start him anyway because Buck Allen is going to get the majority of carries in this offense. Max Williams is out with an ankle. Benjamin Watson should see an uptick in snaps because of that, and I know a lot of people are desperation starting him this week. And Michael Campanaro is questionable with an ankle. Should play, but not hugely fantasy relevant unless you're in a giant deep league. Onto the Jaguars, Jalen Ramsey is questionable with an ankle. Should play, so that slightly dings the passing game for the Ravens, which I'm not that high on in the first place. And Cam Robinson is questionable with the shoulder. Once again, should play, and that should help out Fournette with having him in the game. Onto the Packers and Bengals. Jordy Nelson is questionable with a quad. He should go, and he was practicing in full on Friday. Cobb is not practicing in full, doubtful with his shoulder, likely not going to play. I would try to get him out of your lineups. If you need a desperation plug-in, it's Geronimo Allison is going to be the 3rd receiver starting for them. On to the Bengals. Tyler Eifert has been confirmed out, so get him out of your lineups. In fact, he's borderline droppable at this point. You don't even really need him around anymore. Randall Cobb is doubtful with a shoulder. He's likely not going to play. I'm sorry, I just read the same thing over. I'm sorry, John Ross is out with a knee injury. So John Ross is missed. He's played basically 3 or 4 snaps this season. We're not expecting to see a lot out of him. If you're stashing him, it better be a 16-team league or deeper, or he's droppable in all non-keeper or dynasties scenarios. I just don't think he's going to get enough work on an offense that's not very good. Panthers-Bills. Ryan Khalil is out with a neck injury. This is a slight ding to the running game on an game that you're expecting a lot of points for the Panthers. So this is not optimal, but it should still be plus matchups for both running backs, Jonathan Stewart and Christian McCaffrey. Cam Newton is questionable with the shoulder and ankle injuries. We're still expecting him to go, and he's still a top 5 matchup this week. Bills, Marcel Darius is out with an ankle. This does help C.J. Anderson a lot, getting a run stopper out of there. And on the offensive side of the ball, Cordy Glenn, their offensive tackle, is out. So McCoy's going to get a slight ding against a very, very good defense. On the Broncos side of the ball, Garrett Bowles is questionable with an ankle. That was a really bad ankle injury. I'd be amazed if he plays. I'm amazed he's even got the questionable tag and hasn't been ruled out already. I think he's likely missing another week or 2 before he goes. Browns Colts, linebacker Jamie Collins is out with a concussion. And this is going to be a slight ding to their run defense and pass rush, so plus to the Colts offense, which isn't saying much. Myles Garrett is likely going to miss again with his ankle, and Sammy Coates, the wide receiver 3 or 4 at best in that offense, is doubtful with a hamstring. On the Colts side of the ball, Vontae Davis got his best tag of the year. He's questionable with a groin injury. It is currently looking like he will get his first start, so quite a little bit of a bump down to Rashard Higgins and the pass catchers for the Browns. On to the Cowboys and Cardinals in Monday Night Football. Nolan Carroll is out with a concussion, their cornerback. Orlando Scandrick is dealing with a hand injury, is more likely to miss than not. So start your Cardinals if they're active, especially Larry Fitzgerald. I'm real high on this week. Terrence Williams is doubtful with an ankle, so if you're trusting him for any reason, it looks like it is going to be the Cole Beasley show as the number 2 receiver there, number 3 pass catcher behind Witten and Dez. And cornerback Chidobe Awuzie is likely going to miss with a hamstring, their 3rd cornerback. So it's really rough in the secondary for the Cowboys right now, and it was already pretty bad. For the Cardinals, John Brown has already been confirmed out, so you didn't start him last week because he was out. He's out again this week. Jermaine Gresham is questionable with a rib injury. He should play, but he's going to be a marginal play this week. They don't use the tight end enough, so Jermaine Gresham is not a guy you want. Mike Upati is questionable with a tricep. He's more likely out than in. This does hurt the running game a little bit with that trifecta of Johnson, Williams, and Ellington. I'm trying to avoid starting any of them. If I'm picking one, I guess I'm going Chris Johnson, but I'd rather not go with any of those guys. J.J. Nelson is questionable with a hamstring. I'd sit him just in case he doesn't go Monday, unless you have Jerron Brown. If you have Jerron Brown, fire away with J.J. Nelson because you got his replacement if he doesn't go. For the Seahawks and Titans game, there's only 2 injuries of note. Jimmy Graham is questionable with an ankle and knee injuries. He should play. I would try to bench him, though. This offense has been terrible. Any sort of decent pass rush messes up that offensive line. They make Jimmy Graham block, and he has 9 yards in 2 games. Make him prove it before you put him back in, and he's borderline droppable if you have a better option at tight end. For the Titans, you got DeMarco Murray's questionable with a hamstring. You should get him out of your lineups anyway, though, because they've already confirmed Henry is going to get the majority of the touches, even if Murray goes. Murray is a running back 3 at best, probably more like a running back 4 or 5. For the Vikings and Buccaneers, Sam Bradford is out again. Case Keenum is going to get the start, so downgrade all your Vikings. Cook and Diggs get the smallest downgrades. Rudolph gets a slightly bigger ding, and Thielen should be out of your lineups entirely unless you're in a super deep league. For the Bucs, they're out without Quan Alexander, which is why Cook gets only a slight ding. He's their best run-stopping linebacker. Gerald McCoy is questionable, may miss. That would be even more help to Cook. And cornerback Brent Grimes is questionable with the shoulder. He should play, but if he is out, that does help the Vikings passing game, as marginal as it's going to be with Keenum under center. Texans-Patriots. The Texans get Bruce Ellington back. He's now out of the concussion protocol, so they actually have another offensive weapon besides Andre Hopkins. And for the Patriots, Gronkowski and Amendola were both questionable, with a groin for Gronkowski and knee and concussion issues for Amendola, but both have said they're going to play, so they should both be in your lineups. Amendola I really like this week. Brady's been feeding the slot receivers a lot when they've been playing out of the position. It is a downgrade to Hogan, who plays outside when Amendola's in the game. Bears-Steelers, you got some offensive guard news for the Bears. Josh Sitton is doubtful with a rib injury. I'd be very surprised if he goes. But the good news is they do get Kyle Long back, who's going to get his first start of the year. So they lose Sitton, they get Long. Ends up being pretty much a wash for where they've been the first 2 weeks. Cohen is still my preferred start because Howard is still struggling with a shoulder, even though he is practicing in full. The Steelers lose pass rusher TJ Watt with a groin injury. Stephon Tuitt is questionable with a bicep injury, likely will miss. And then offensive tackle Marcus Gilbert is questionable with a hamstring injury and illness, but I do expect he'll play. So no ding to the running game, so Bell should be in there, though I'd like to see some more out of him this season. The defensive line for the Steelers is a bit weaker. Once again, though, it's the Bears' pass offense. It's not very good. And their running game is still marginalized with that offensive line issues they've been having. Redskins are playing the Raiders. Raiders have no injuries to report. Redskins have Rob Kelly. He's questionable, but he should play. Jordan Reed is questionable with ribs and sternum, should play. Josh Norman, if I feel like I'm repeating myself here, questionable with the shoulder injury and should play. So no one major expected to be out for the Redskins, and Raiders have no one major on the injury report. Lions-Falcons. Lions have Gerard Davis out with a concussion, their linebacker, so that helps the running game for both Coleman and Freeman. And then Ezekiel Ansell is questionable with the knee. That would help Ryan if he missed. For the Falcons, they are missing defensive end Vic Beasley. He's going to miss 4 weeks-ish with a hamstring. Dolphins, Jets, Jay Ajayi, Jarvis Landry, and Devontae Parker are all questionable with a knee, and ankle between the 3 of them. All are saying they should play, so fire them up in a plus matchup this week. They should all be in your lineups. For the Jets, Muhammad Wilkerson is questionable with a shoulder. Should play. If he misses, that's even a bigger boom to the offensive weapons for the Dolphins, already playing a pretty bad defense. And last, we've got Chargers-Chiefs. Chiefs have nobody in the injury report to mention of note, and the Chargers have Melvin Gordon is questionable with the knee, should go. Jason Verrett is out for the season, so this will be the last time I mention him. He's going on IR and done for the year. And then Joe Barksdale is questionable to play. It would really help that passing game if he is in. It would help Melvin Gordon a lot if he plays, if Barksdale's in there. If Gordon misses, Brandon Oliver is the handcuff. I would probably not start him unless you're just completely desperate. I'd rather start Matt Forte, and that's saying something. That's all I got for in and outs this week. Please hit us up with questions at BeerfieldFF. We'll try to get you questions here, answer your questions tomorrow morning before the London game. We're going to be live streaming on YouTube at this channel, Beerfield Fantasy Football, and we'll get back to you there. Individually, I'm at Nick Sparts, and we will catch you guys next time. Later.